everybody, welcome to the next installment of Journey Through John, and today we're concluding our journey through chapter 4. Once again, our journey through John is just bite-sized conversations as we go through the book of John to have some conversation about what we see in the life of Jesus. Once again, one of the threads we see through the book of John that I've been trying to point out as we've gone through is how many people might have claimed him as Jesus, as Christ, as the Messiah, but they didn't really understand the magnitude of what it was. And once again, so often people here, when they're looking for the Messiah, they were looking for a conquering hero who would come and throw off the shackles of Rome. But Jesus was here for a bigger problem, the bigger problem being our sin issue. Having said all that, we do want to get right into our passage. Today we'll be finishing up the chapter, going through verses 46 through 54. And so having said that, the Samaritan woman is done. We're moving on to what's called the official's son. And the official person here is some sort of diplomat or a person who works in the government, works with the king, a nobleman, if you will. Keep that in mind as we read through this, starting at verse 46. It says, "So he came again to Cana in Galilee," that being Jesus, "where he had made the water to wine. And at Capernaum there was an official whose son was ill. When this man had heard that Jesus had come to Judea to Galilee, he went to him and asked him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. So Jesus said to him, 'Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe.' And the official said to him, 'Sir, come down before my child dies.' And Jesus said to him, 'Go, your son will live.' The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went on his way." Verse 51, "As he was going down to his servants met him and told him that his son was recovering. So he asked them the hour when he began to get better, and they said to him, 'Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him.' The father knew that that was the hour when Jesus had said to him, 'Your son will live.' And he himself believed, and his household, all his household. This was now the second sign that Jesus did when he had come from Judah to Galilee." Interesting piece here. We just comes from Samaria, where they just meet him and they fall in love with him and they just want to be with him and say, "Stay with us for 2 more days, stay with us longer." And he stayed 2 more days. And then we see them going back to Galilee, and they're looking for the signs again. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. We see this official who's his son's at death, and so at death's door, and so he's looking for answers. He can't figure it out. I'm sure he has the connections to get the care that he can at this time, but nothing's solving it. His son's still struggling, and so he's saying, "Jesus, I need you to do this." And we see Jesus saying, "You all are looking for signs." And then he says, "Go, your son will live." And I love this in verse 50. The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went on his way. Even if, and this is hypothetical, but even if his approach wasn't correct, he still believed and he still moved in obedience to what Jesus did. He didn't try to drag Jesus back. He trusted the words that Jesus said. And so even sometimes when we approach Jesus and we're not 100% incorrect, if our heart is in this place where we're in desperation and we know that you have the answer, Jesus can still meet us in that. And he's not looking for us to approach in perfection. He's looking for us to approach understanding our desperate situation and understanding that he has the capacity to fill that need. How powerful is that? This father does the due diligence to say, well, when did my son's fever break? When did everything start to click back in place? When was the health? And it lined up. And what it led to was, since he believed Jesus and then Jesus met that, we see that the father knew the hour and he himself believed and his whole household. And that was the second sign that Jesus had done. And so when we see these things taking place, it can cause us to have a lot of questions, and it's okay to have questions, and it's okay sometimes to not have all the answers, but to keep on searching. But in the middle of all this, some questions that came to my mind is that we see that the man then believed. And for me, the thought came to mind is, am I so desperate that I'm willing to go to Jesus in the midst of my issues, knowing that not how he's going to do it, but knowing that he knows better? Are we desperate like this man? This man was so desperate that he needed to find some answer, and so he went to Jesus to find it. Are we desperate in situations, and do we need to go to Jesus about that? What is the midst that you're facing? What are you desperate about? And it may not, when Jesus answers, it may not be the answer that we're looking for, but are we willing to say, whatever your answer, Jesus, is, that's the answer I want more than anything, and that's really what it is that I want to be about? And do we do that? Is that how we face our difficulties and our situations and our crisis in our life? I hope that it is. I hope it's a challenge to us. Maybe when we shut off this video, it's something that we can start working through. How are we dealing with the desperate situations in our life? Are we dealing like this man? Are we taking Jesus at his word? And are we going forward in obedience with what he's given us to work on? That's our challenge for the day. I hope this is encouraging to you. And once again, we will be off tomorrow because tomorrow is Sunday, but I will see you again on Monday as we journey through John.